Hey, ¿qué fue? Yo soy Jupeson y ya salió todo el detalle del set 10. En este video vamos a ver el video, voy a reaccionar. Batalla Remix, el nombre del set. Me gusta. Hay muchos anuncios, está buenísimo. La música es lo mejor. Las bandas son los rasgos, son las sinergias.
In Remix Rumble, you're the DJ, and the board is your turntable. By combining different traits, you'll create a medley of beats and genres. Let's start with familiar chart toppers, beginning with the ultimate...
Veamos un poquito KDA, o sea, tenemos Kennen, que no sé si es KDA, puede ser, y es como que crea unos hexágonos, y si metes a las unidades, los hexágonos son aleatorios. Si metes a una unidad dentro del hexágono, esa unidad va a estar empoderada. Puede o no ser KDA. Entonces es como una sinergia de soporte, pero se puede jugar vertical también.
Top stars, KDA. Get the entire lobby bumping with KDA and their most dedicated superfans. Position them just so, and you'll find yourself at the performance of a lifetime, with incredible choreography and a bunch of bonus stats. Okay, let's make like a Kali and hop over to the next band. True Damage and Pentakill are also in the mix, and both stay true to their names. True Damage grants extra attack.
Ok, True Damage, velocidad de ataque.
Can't be right. This is more like it.
Y daño verdadero.
True Damage members are all about style and will gain a unique bling bonus that'll power them up as you itemize them. Oh, and before you ask, Akali will be able to be
Bien, acá True Damage es como una idea, la idea es que sea como cibernético, por lo que presentan acá, puede llegar a cambiar, pero mientras más objetos le des o si le das un objeto ya se empoderan. Entonces obviamente tratar de jugar alrededor de eso. Y Akali, esto es buenísimo que tiene como dos versiones dependiendo de lo que más te sirva en el tablero, ¿no?
KDA or True Damage. Her trait will change based on whichever band is trending at the time. All right, metalheads, Pentakill's up next.
Pentakill.
Pentakill members have damage reduction and bonus damage that increases as they score kills. And if your team manages to get a Pentakill, then their bonuses will increase again. Just be careful in Yorick's mosh pit. Then there's Heartsteel.
Ok, Pentakill es como de ir elevando tu poder. Es parecido a Noxus. ¿Se acuerdan la conquista de Noxus? Matabas a alguien o matabas a un jugador y vas a ser más fuerte. Acá es por unidades. Entonces tienes que agarrarla temprano y jugar tempo, jugar fuerte, matar rápido y eso te va a empoderar para que al futuro vayas bien. Y bueno, la banda Heartsteel, vamos a ver qué onda.
Fresh off their debut and already making their mark on the convergence. These guys are ready to bring the energy and do whatever it takes for their fans. They may have started out underground, but they're certainly able to take you to the top of the charts and the lobby.
Son como los nuevos Fortuna. Que es para arriesgarse. Bien, va a ser como la nueva sinergia de Fortuna, ¿no? De los mercenarios que te van a dar como cosas y obviamente es peligroso porque si no canjeas como que te perdiste, digamos, no tienes poder en el campo.
We also have some all-new groups entering the convergence. With original TFT looks, Lulu and Ziggs make up the jittery, ridiculous, hyperpop duo Glitter Bomb.
Glitter Bomb, esto no existe todavía, digamos, como banda, pero está bueno.
Remix Rumble has plenty. There's a whole new class, superfans, who show off their fandom with style. The trait pumps up your...
Hay una sinergia de superfans, eres como un fanático. Kenencito, por ejemplo, como que te vistes de un fan de un grupo.
My personal favorite new look is Bard, who has joined the jazz trio Free Flow. He and his meeps are looking as smooth as they sound. Before I get into the mechanics, let's head backstage to learn more about how we made some of these traits.
Ahorita explica un poco de Bardo y cuando lo expliquen hacemos un poquito más en profundidad. Porque Bardo está bueno, tiene como musiquita también especial que va haciendo cosas.
So when we think back of kind of like what the steps were, we knew we were going to have this big music moment. We were celebrating 10 sets of TFT, which was going to be huge. And really we just kind of leaned right in and we were like, cool, we know we're going to do all of these cool origins, and then we go through the process of what skin lines do we have available that we can tie those to. And luckily we had a ton of cool and groovy skin lines, and we obviously played with them a little bit.
Les queda perfecto, o sea, es muy natural hacer un set de música.
Yeah, we were pretty quick to just turn right in and be like, oh wow, we have tons of things to pull from, which is really exciting.
Claro.
So I'm pretty excited about Heartsteel. The economy trait is always a fan favorite of ours. But we've had this problem for a long time where the economy trait is you get it at 2-1 or you don't really play it. And so this time we took a very clear goal of how do you play it if you don't hit it at 2-1? And so what you can do is you can play it at any point in the game, and the more you've got, the bigger the payout. You try to lose by just a little bit, but even if you win, you're still going to be getting those fan, and then it's going to cash out after a few turns. And so you can even pivot into it in the late game, and I think that's going to be a real skill expressive part.
Que lo puedes usar un ratito, no importa si no te sale temprano. Sigue siendo interesante.
And then get my reward, and then pivot back, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of really cool skill expressive.
Te beneficia también si pierdes por poco, que es la idea.
Is definitely the country trait, which features our Desperado band. Historically in TFT, we've done a lot of really cool things with summon traits. We did Baron this last set, we did Innovator in set 6. I'm really excited for Country to join those ranks.
Country está bueno porque va moviéndose. Hay un Hecarim. Sale primero.
Champions sort of get lower or lose health.
Cuando pierdes vida sale el Hecarim a ayudarte.
So operating a little bit like Galio from set 4, if players remember that one. So I think the challenges with these two is we kept trying to find the identity for each of them, and they ended up being really intertwined with each other. So there was a day where myself, Whitrock, the set lead, and Mort literally sat down and mapped out the entire set on a whiteboard. I don't remember who it was, but one of us was just like, oh, we don't have a summon trait. And we kind of played around with that. And on the flip side, we were also playing around with, like, is it risky to have our econ trait be one of the main verticals? Like, is that something we want to do or try?
Sí, es peligroso porque Hardstyle es una vertical y normalmente tener verticales de rasgo de economía es medio loco. Ojalá esté bien balanceado y obviamente, bueno, iteramos para que funcione. Ok, mecánica. La mecánica del set. Acá es donde va a haber la discusión. Acá es donde va a haber la controversia. Vuelven los portales, pero más fácil, más sencillos. Eran mucho complicado, nadie entendía qué hacían. Tenías que estudiar para ver cada cosa. Ahora son más fáciles, tienes un poquito de vida, tienes no sé qué. Leyendas, chao, se van las leyendas. Sí, yo creo que van a volver a las leyendas, pero no ahora, a futuro. Vamos a ver. Vamos a ver.
Back to what we are bringing back. One of TFT's most beloved mechanics is returning in an updated way.
No sé si me gusta esto.
No, not augments.
Lo chose.
We will be introducing new augments for Remix Rumble as well. I'm talking about headliners.
Ah, no, headline, esto es otra cosa. Sí, los elegidos.
Headliners are the star of your board. They appear occasionally in shops and are purchased at 2 stars.
Lo compras y ya es 2 estrellas, obviamente te cuesta el oro. Te dan más 2, o sea, la sinergia que él tiene, una de sus sinergias es por 2, y aparte son un poquito más fuertes, no mucho, un poquito. Les da como un efecto especial, digamos. Bardo, a ver. Es como aleatorio, hace un poquito más de daño, cura.
Every 10 casts will generate a meep that allows him to play 1 extra note on his first cast of combat. Bard is the type of headliner.
Si logra, fíjate, ahí tiró 2 mips. Si vuelve a ultear, tira 3 mips. Y llega un momento que es una locura. Se escala y no lo matas nunca.
Some headliners will be difficult to find endgame carries. Take Yorick, a legendary unit who temporarily summons ghouls. When this headbanger is your headliner, the ghouls will be bigger and deal more damage. And one more thing about our mechanics.
O sea, no es solo estadística, son más, les cambia el poder. Hay que estudiar, ahí hay que estudiar un poco.
And an ear out for that. All right, let's check back in with Alex and Mort to talk more about headliners.
Ok, vamos a ver cómo lo van a balancear, ¿no? Que es el peligro.
When we were exploring the different mechanics, we knew we were doing a music theme. And so we kind of had this image where it's like, okay, the band is all on there together, but what is it that makes it special? How can we twist it? And we kept coming back to, it's like, well, who's singing at the moment? Who's the star of the show, if you will? And that kind of led us to a system we call Headliner, which was like, okay, you're going to pick who your headliner is, And we kept coming up with versions that were slightly different than Chosen, but had a lot of the same advantages. Chosen was one of our first big mechanics that wasn't just like
Artista
galaxies
principal.
or variation.
Para no
And it
decirle
was something
Chosen.
that allowed every champion to kind of be the centerpiece, right? Like you would tell stories of, oh, this was the game I got Silas Chosen, and I did this thing, or this was the game I got Kennen Chosen. But what was interesting is as we were kind of researching it, we realized that was before a lot of these other mechanics, right? Augments hadn't been around. And so a lot of the burden of the system has changed.
Es verdad,
And
es
so
posible
as we were
que
looking
haya
at
un
this,
buen lugar
kind of
ahora
seeing all the
para el
pieces come
Chosen o
together,
para el
it felt
artista
like
principal,
kind
el
of the greatest
headliner.
hits of TFT, which once we realized that was such a great opportunity to bring it all together. And so that's when we kind of anchored on headliner being sort of the upgraded Chosen. You know, we've got radiant items, augments.
Hay aumento, hay objetos radiantes que vuelven. Están los aumentos sencillos. Está bueno. Está bueno, se siente bien, se siente bien. Porque si dejaban las leyendas era como mucho, ¿no?
The headliner mechanic, players would be most excited about the champ fantasies that it unlocks. So whether you are a player that really loves re-rolling those 1 or 2 costs, or you're a player that likes those 4 cost carry fantasies, headliner allows you to do any direction you want every game, and unlocks a lot of variation, which is exciting. These are things that we never predict coming in, like what is the built different comp of this set? Like what are the combinations that we during production have no idea are coming, that we see videos of at 2 a.m. From China, and we're like, wow, that's amazing, I can't believe they came up with this idea.
Those cool combinations that keep you coming back and have an exciting payoff, I think is always what we're looking for when we're making new sets. It's like, what is the cool next thing to try out?
Está bueno, está bueno, está bueno. Música en 2020.
Hey everyone, I'm Cole Hicks, lead composer of Remix Rumble, and I'm here to talk about the heart of this set, the music. In Remix Rumble, each trait brings new sounds to your board. While you're building your team, you're building your track. Remix Rumble was an all-hands-on-deck moment for our team.
Me gusta porque es como country este chabón, como que va con la música. Este lo imagino después en Las Vegas cantando, tranquilo. Esto está muy bueno, el tema de mezclar la música. O sea, le metieron cariño. Porque ponele, juegas KDA con Pentakill y suena algo que tiene que ver con Pentakill y con KDA, como que se combinan los ritmos un poco. Ok. A ver. Hay como una intro y luego cuando la batalla empieza como que es el hype de la canción. Curación y velocidad de ataque para disco.
Then you could add in a destructive splash of pentakill for a killer guitar solo, soaring over it all. Now let's talk a bit
Muy bueno.
about the tracks we
¿Ves?
wrote.
Suena disco, agregas pentakill y suena la guitarra encima.
That already exist in the League IP. We tried to capture their instrumental essence with some TFT twists.
Muy bueno.
And we brought in
Muy bueno.
new
Esto está
genres
buenísimo,
like
bro. Que hagan estas cosas es una locura.
More on those later.
Aprovechar los recursos que ya
We
tienes
also
para
made sure
crear algo
powerful
innovador
units
me
like
parece
Jin
una
got
locura.
their moment in the spotlight. For Maestro, Jin's legendary trait, we mixed in a Paganini-esque violin solo to create a modern interpretation of classical music, fit for the virtuoso himself. This sound was the perfect fit for a trait that deals extra damage to tactician health and a champion whose ability builds up in a cadenza of damage. By putting out different units on your board, you'll create a symphony of
bueno el
controlled
violín.
chaos. Try combining
Mira qué bueno es Pentakill. Mira la Annie, miren la Annie abajo. Annie, Amumu, Poppy. Morde no puede faltar.
You'll create music that features the bass of true damage alongside the groovy horn section of disco nuts.
Muy bueno.
It's absolutely ridiculous, and that's just TFT.
Me encanta.
All right, let's head backstage.
Me encanta porque hay gente que va a decir, ah, no, esta música no me gusta, yo no juego True Damage. O esta me gusta mucho, juego disco. Y la gente se va a poner a jugar solo por la música. O sea, algunos, obviamente. No los tryhard, pero algunos. O sí. Mira, y grabaron. Ellos mismos grabaron la cosa.
That's great, man. I mean, that was a pretty good first read down and, you know. Moving on? Awesome. Okay. Cool. Yeah, let's
Y grabaron para tener... Porque lo bueno es que no tienen copyright las
One
músicas.
of the challenges of working on this set is the multiple genres and how they're going to be remixed into one another. There are a total of, I believe, 10 to 12 genres, some of them more bespoke than others because it's based on our virtual band, but all of this are being done by 7 composers together.
Okay.
So this is the biggest collaboration within Riot composers
Qué
that we
loco.
have done for Teamfight Tactics.
Me encanta.
Authenticity.
Qué locura,
is
bro, lo de la
the goal
música.
and the challenge. Because we're doing so many different genres, and some of them have a fair amount of crossover as far as types of sounds and things that we're
Claro,
using.
yo
For
quiero que metan
example, we're
bachata,
doing
bachata y salsa.
DJ Sona,
La sinergia de
genre,
las
but we also
caderas,
have a
los
straight,
pasos
like,
prohibidos.
EDM genre. And
Juego,
so
soy main
you almost
bachata,
have to
main
really
bachata
lean
desde la
into
beta.
things that might be different about those two things. Like we have this established thing that Riot has done versus a genre that already exists. And really kind of
Claro,
leaning
es que
into
tuvieron
some
que
of the
crear,
more
eso es lo
expected
lindo, o sea, no es
things
solo
that players
KDA,
are going to want
True
to
Damage,
How
y
do we
todos
make it
tuvieron
so
que
that each of
unificar,
our
bro, tuvieron que
elements
fusionar
actually
ritmos y
stand out
está
in a
bueno.
way that right away an audience would be able to be like, oh, like they're doing this punk rock thing without getting it confused with Pentakill, right? A metal band. They both use guitars, they both use drums, they both use bass. How are those genres being executed differently and is able to be recognized by our players right away?
Claro.
KDA is another example of like what it's not just what are the things that make it sound like KDA, it's what are the things that make it sound like KDA if just the drums are playing.
Claro.
Just the chords are playing.
Está bueno. Como que separar todo, ¿no? Un poco.
One of the cool things about this set is that it is supposed to be a bit crazy sometimes. So we were able to sort of like lean into it being like, oh, that sounds a bit silly, but
Yeah,
it's
and some
kinda
surprising things came
Yeah.
out that were really
Sí, se
cool,
animaron,
like,
está
for
bueno.
example,
Se animaron a
I think we
equivocarse
discovered that
y si se equivocaron y
saxophone
funcionan, lo dejan.
solo over Heartsteel is very cool. We have also discovered that a violin solo on top of Jason's EDM track is very cool.
Very cool. And we would have never made those choices as composers.
Normally,
Normally,
right.
it's okay to lean into the silliness sometimes because
Claro.
it is a fun idea and it's supposed
Sí,
to be
aparte
fun.
tiene sentido con
For
los
other
campeones,
genres,
¿no?
obviously will work in
El
a
saxo
way where you're
con
like, oh,
un
that's
Jarvan,
I
con
would put that
con
on my
Jax y
playlist
cosas
to
así.
listen to it.
Yeah. For us, the collaboration is a little chaotic, and I think that's also us embracing that energy of like, we're not entirely sure if this is gonna work, and we're just kind of, you know, like riding with the flow and write what we believe in, and then we come together and let's hear how this is gonna go.
TFT is the space where, as a composer, I get to play around the most and, you know, basically try whatever fun ideas I might have. The team is very open to experimentation. So from that perspective, even though it is a fair amount different than anything we've done in TFT before, I think TFT is the perfect place to do it. And
Es
I
que está
think
bueno,
the
bro, porque
players of
el
TFT
riesgo-beneficio de hacer algo
also
así con
really on board
TFT
with
es buenísimo.
these kinds
¿Qué es
of
lo peor que
fun
puede pasar? Que te
ideas.
equivoques, ya estamos acostumbrados. Ya estamos acostumbrados a que haya errores, lo aceptamos y bueno, mejoramos a futuro. Entonces prueban cosas. Arenas y estrategas.
I'm Ananda Gupta,
Este es
design
Ananda.
director on TFT.
Este es director de diseño, este es grosso.
I'm here to give an update
Ananda
on
es grosso.
cosmetics, and then I'll talk about ranked.
Él está en la
as
parte de
well as a much
cosméticos, todo,
anticipated
mini
release for
leyendas,
many of our
todo.
players,
Y tiene un
the
equipo,
Asia
pero al
Pacific
fin apareció.
launch.
Porque siempre
We're
mandaba a
thrilled to
otra
bring more
gente.
high-quality personalization
Y ahora está
that will be
Ananda ahí,
released throughout
metiéndole
the start of
cariño.
Remix Rumble. Ahead of that, we want to give you a sneak peak and equip you with an understanding of the
Y
release
este es el que
schedule,
genera dinero,
both to
porque
prepare
la plata que
collectors, as well
genera
as inform
las
folks
mini
who wanna
leyendas y
nab
todo
their
eso es la parte más importante de TFT para
Chibi
generar
set
plata para
and
Rayo.
Chibi Heartsteel set have
Así
entered
que
the
un
building,
chabón
and
importante.
they're looking to pull off a heist
Miren el
straight to
set,
the
bro.
top of the lobby.
Este set
Chibi
está
Heartsteel
espectacular.
set
El
moves
chibi, mira el
fast and
chibi.
will depart the treasure realms after the first
El de
2 weeks
Heartsteel,
of Remix Rumble.
una locura.
And
Va a estar
if you want
solo va a estar
more,
las primeras
the
2
KDA
semanas,
Arena
supuestamente.
is definitely more. Drop your comp smack dab
Arena
in the middle
KDA
of the
hermosa.
KDA show and take top 4 or bottom 4. It won't matter with an arena this stunning.
Mira qué lindo.
After 2 weeks, Chibi KDA Akali will screech onto the
Luego
scene.
entra Cali.
Then, the moment I've been waiting for,
Y mira, Akali KDA.
Kaisa will hit the convergence
Perdón,
3
Kaisa,
weeks
Kaisa
into the
KDA.
set. She and KDA Akali
Tercera
will be
semana.
available
Primeras
for
2 semanas set,
that will
segundas 2
only last until
semanas
our next event.
Kaisa. Kaisa Cali.
Each drop will provide high-value content, from chibis to mythic little legends, and even a chance to hit a random chibi variant like Dragonmancer Ash or Star Guardian
Ok, hay
Lux.
como eventos
The biggest
especiales
high roll
también.
of those collector capsules is KDA Kaisa.
La más grosa es
the
Kaisa KDA.
centerpiece for players looking to flaunt that extra special drop.
Wow.
But prestige
Uf.
treasure realms are full of high-value offerings from past sets.
Ahí te pueden dar cosas de set anteriores también. Eso está bueno. Puede aparecer algo que te falte, algo que no tengas. Porque hay cosas especiales que quitaron.
We know players want more say in what they purchase,
And we're working towards exactly that in a system we're internally calling the seasonal store.
Okay.
We're not quite ready to go into the finer details.
Va a haber como una tienda de temporada. Me imagino que es una tienda que habilita cosas viejas, pero por un tiempo definido. Van a haber 2 pases en 4 meses, o sea, cada 2 meses. Antes cada pase duraba 3 meses. Ok, debería ser más fácil igual obtener todo. Y todo tendrá un montón de cosas. Ah, bueno. Porque recuerden que hay un pase gratis y hay un pase pago. Si no puedes el pago, haces el gratis y vas a obtener igual beneficios. El doble de beneficios. Porque son 2 por cada 4 meses. Ok, cambian las clasificatorias. Ojito, mejorían las clasificatorias. Las ranquecitas. Ojo, Esmeralda. OTP Esmeralda desde la beta. Vamos a ver quiénes son los Esmeralda. Esmeralditos. De los Platinum, Esmeralditos y Diamancos.
Without mid-sets, there's no soft reset of your rank throughout the season, so you'll have more time to track your progress on the expanded ladder, improve your skill, and get new Emerald rewards.
Claro.
We're not looking to make the climb harder. Emerald and a longer season should mean a smoother, more consistent climb overall. We know TFT is a more chaotic game than League, and we don't want to punish or reward you too much for performance outliers. You can play great and still low roll in TFT, and our ranked system should and will reflect that.
Ok. Está bueno. Ojo, celulares, mejoran celulares. Porque recuerden, los jugadores de China de mobile les fue muy bien. Activan celulares para APAC, una región que no lo tenía, que creo que es parte de la gente de Asia, si no me equivoco. Asian Pacific, por ahí. Que bueno, obviamente es un mercado importantísimo para los mobile, que es más difícil entrar por restricciones que hay internamente. Ok, se puede usar tablet. Antes era solo mobile. Puedes usar tablet, que me parece muy cómodo para jugar TFT. Meterle con tablets.
We've seen a ton of anticipation for TFT Mobile in APAC and tablet support across the world.
Okay.
And we can't wait to kick it all off with Remix Rumble.
Okay. Y próximamente yo creo que más mejoras a mobile dentro de 2024.
Pre-registration milestone rewards, from treasure tokens to a new little legend, Boba Tea River Sprite.
Hay como recompensas, pero no sé si es solo... Ahí está. Ok, solo para APAC, que es la mini leyenda, pero a nosotros nos la dan después. Ojalá me la debe el amigo. Ojo. Este es Sherman. Sherman es el de eSports. Este es el de eSports, el que hizo el show de Las Vegas. Ok. ¿Qué tenemos? ¿Qué tenemos? Ok, Las Vegas. Diciembre, Las Vegas.
It's been awesome to see the growth of TFT esports over the last few sets. We've seen 3 sets of steady viewer growth for set championships. And with the Runeterra Reforged Championship, we're hoping to make it 4.
Ok.
We're about 5 weeks out from our first global LAN event, the TFT Vegas Open.
Se viene, 5 semanas.
8th through the 10th, with 512 competitors from around the world as they take over the MGM Grand.
Me encanta.
I first want to say that we were blown away by how quickly
se vendieron, bro, 502 entradas. Para el siguiente set yo creo que va a ser 1024.
The event happens early in Remix Rumble, testing players' ability to adapt, innovate, and lead the meta. This is a moment where players from anywhere can step into the spotlight and become IRL headliners.
Mira Tex robando cámara, que me encanta. Que el que gane 100.000. Trofeo y el título, bro, de que ganaste el primer presencial.
And even if you don't get first, the 128 players who make it to day 2 will win a piece of the $300,000 prize.
128. Con llegar de 128 ganas 450 ya. Hay que llegar al día 2.
But don't worry, the Vegas Open won't be a replacement for a championship.
Okay.
Now that we've switched over to 3 sets a year, we're adjusting to have a competitive season for each one.
Okay.
So rest
Va a haber 3
assured, there
mundiales.
will be a Remix Rumble championship at the end of the set.
Okay.
It'll be the culmination of Remix
Va a haber
Rumble,
3 mundiales.
So we have high expectations for the comps players will bring to the finals, now that they've had a chance to master the set.
Me gusta, porque no hay cambio, no hay mid-set, nada.
Vegas, PvE goes live the second week of November. So get out there.
PvE la semana que viene. Vamos a estar jugando full en stream.
As for everyone else, we're super excited for our first ever LAN event, and we hope to see you all there, either in person or digitally. All right, Thanks so much for watching.
Genial.
Good luck and have fun out there.
eSports,
Till
bro.
next time.
3 mundiales al año. 3 mundiales al año, chat. 3 mundiales al año. En 2020. Qué locura. Bueno, este fue el detalle. Díganme en los comentarios qué les pareció. Más adelante me van a dejar compartir contenido, así que les voy a hacer un resumen más detallado de la sinergia, de las composiciones, y nos vamos a divertir también full con lo que fue TFT, ¿no? Así que bueno, superen sus límites en la vida en el TFT. Nos vemos en las ranquecitas. ¡Wow!